It's the final 48 hours of 2009. Tomorrow night, the world will usher in a new decade.
New York bustles with life every day, but there's something magical about New Year's Eve in this city.
On Manhattan's Upper West Side, Shelley Danishevsky spends a quiet evening at home with her two children, Anna and Miles.
The 47-year-old is a powerhouse investment banker, but nothing pleases her more than spending time with her kids.
She's a woman balancing a stressful job with the day-to-day life of being a loving mother. A hard feat for most, but for Shelley, it's something she's really good at.
Although recently separated from her husband, Rod Colvin, the two work hard to create a sense of love and security for their children.
In fact, Rod lives just across the hall in their high-rise and high-class apartment.
A unique living arrangement, but they're willing to do whatever it takes for the children.
Tomorrow, they'll celebrate the end of one year and the new beginning of another.
The next morning, on December 31st, Anna wakes up and is hungry for breakfast. She goes looking for her mom. What Anna finds will haunt her dreams for the rest of her life. Her mother, unresponsive, is in the bathtub, something a child should never see. What seems at first a terrible, tragic accident will take 10 long years, and shocking revelations from the grave will reveal it's actually no accident at all, but rather a brutal murder by a heartless killer. Elizabeth, New Jersey, nestled in Union County. This city of just over 125,000 is the county seat, and it's just 15 miles from bustling New York City. Shelley Mina Danishevsky is born July 13, 1962, to her doting parents, Joel and Jaylene. Shelley is raised in a working-class Orthodox Jewish home with her three siblings, brothers Fred and Philip, and sister Eve.
The family is incredibly close. Every Sabbath, without fail, they gather at the home of Shelley's maternal grandmother.
The Sabbath is a day of religious observance and abstinence. But for young Shelley, it also drives home the importance of family and togetherness.
But positive family values aren't the only thing that Shelley remembers from her informative years, as she endures some difficult times as well.
It's here, when Shelley's just 3 years old, that a cabinet tips over and an urn of scalding hot water melts Shelley's skin on her chest, lower neck, and upper arms.
An incredibly unfortunate and painful accident. Luckily for the family, she's a strong-willed child that fights through it.
Shelley begins painful skin grafts for her third-degree burns, but the scarring is permanent.
Her parents are stricken with guilt. It's not their fault. It was an accident, but they never really get over it, and neither does Shelley.
Shelley doesn't remember her accident. Unfortunately, the scars are a constant reminder. As a teen, she binge eats and has low self-esteem. Her grades are mediocre. She struggles to find herself, and throughout the years, it gets more and more difficult to hide her depression with who she is as a teen.
Shelley loses herself in long sleeves and high necklines, even on hot summer days. But when she attends Pace University in New York City, she finally finds herself again.
Pace is a medium-sized private university located on an urban campus in New York, New York. Not your typical stuffy post-secondary school, it seems to suit Shelley's unique personality.
Shelley moves into the dorms, and the independence transforms her. She takes care of her appearance and begins to accept her scars.
Shelley starts to dress more fashionably, and her confidence is growing.
With her confidence returning at such a fast pace, Shelley dives into her schoolwork and proves to be one of the most diligent students at the university, while also having a strong group of friends surrounding her.
After graduating from university in 1984, Shelley begins working with her dad, Joel, and brother Philip at Merrill Lynch. They're a power trio, finding family success in the world of finance. But it doesn't seem that way for Shelley in the world of romance.
With intermarriage being very rare within the Orthodox Jewish community, Shelley's adamant on finding someone within her own community.
For many young Orthodox Jewish people, starting a family young is critically important. There's an implicit pressure to find a life partner and settle down.
Shelley is very successful, kind, and beautiful. She's been dating, but finding the right partner is eluding her.
By 36 years old, Shelley has almost given up. A love match just isn't in the cards for her. But the day after Valentine's Day, February 15th, 1998, she attends a Jewish mixer, and she comes up aces.
Roderick Colvin is smart, charming, and has an engineering degree from Columbia, and he's just 25 years old. Shelley's met her soulmate.
Roderick is 11 years younger than Shelley. For some, the age difference would be an immediate issue, but not for these two. They fall hard and fast.
After only 6 weeks of dating, Rod and Shelley get engaged. And 6 months later, the couple is married.
The newlyweds move into the prestigious Dorchester Towers in Manhattan, where Shelley's dad owns a suite. The full-service white-glove condominium on Manhattan's Upper West Side offers a warm welcoming to the new couple as their life together is truly about to begin.
Rod sets up a diverse portfolio as a stockbroker at a downtown firm. Shelley continues to work with her family in finance. It's a quiet life on the Upper West Side.
The house gets a little louder though when baby Anna is born on October 12, 2000.
Having wanted children for quite a while, Shelley's overwhelmed with excitement and quickly proves she's good at it. She's a caring, attentive mother, yet still manages to balance a busy work schedule and her home life. And she wants more kids.
Pregnancy challenges stall out Rod and Shelley's dreams of a big family. IVF becomes the couple's only option. Shelley and Rod Colvin lose twins early on, but then in 2006, the couple celebrates the arrival of a son. It may have taken longer than she wanted, but at 44 years old, Shelley's family and her life is complete.
But while happiness shines on the family, an unfortunate dip in the housing market drastically affects the world around them.
With the housing bubble crash of the late 2000s, many financial sectors are affected, but the family's determination won't let it falter them.
Shelley, her brother Philip, and father Joel weather the storm and continue to prove themselves excellent strategists. Investment giant United Bank of Switzerland coaxes the three over to the firm.
Previously, Shelley worked with over $600 million in client funds. Now at UBS, it will be even more.
Shelley's determined to prove herself in the industry and gain the reputation she deserves. Meanwhile, Rod Colvin completes his MBA through Fordham University. With over 15,000 students across 9 schools, it's considered a top-ranked school in North America that offers exceptional education in the Jesuit tradition.
But Rod doesn't achieve nearly the same level of success as his wife Shelley. In fact, there are times when Rod doesn't work at all. And that's when the cracks in this rock-solid family begin to show.
It's not uncommon for there to be spousal jealousy involving earnings or a difference in career, but if you're not willing to talk through these issues, it will definitely fester.
Shelley was a very accomplished woman. She went to work with her father in finance in a very prestigious bank here in New York. She was vivacious, and she was well respected and highly regarded, not only by her family, but her friends.
Shelley and Rod's family is successful, but Shelley confides in her sister Eve that she's not happy.
Tension developed, apparently. She was concerned that he was not working and was really becoming obsessed with playing backgammon. There was increasing friction. They wound up having 2 really wonderful children, but there was a lot of friction. She was the primary breadwinner, so there were financial issues.
What might appear as an Upper West Side power couple is actually a troubled marriage about to fall apart. In the Orthodox Jewish community, it's a very hard pill to swallow.
And over time, apparently, it reached the point where she decided to seek a divorce.
Having failed to make things work between them, Shelley tells Rod he needs to leave the house. Not only does she ask him to move out for her own sanity, but for the children caught in the middle of their tumultuous relationship. She knows it's for the best, even if it's the last thing she wants to do. The public admission in the community of a broken marriage is disheartening and stigmatizing. It's no different for Shelley and Rod.
By early 2009, the couple is living apart. Shelley's father rents a suite across the hall for Rod so the estranged couple can co-parent effectively.
Although this living arrangement is out of the ordinary for a couple that splits, they're determined to put the children first, and it seems to work.
By the end of 2009, Rod and Shelley are managing, and with a fresh decade just days away, hopefully comes with it a fresh start. But it will never come to pass. The morning of December 31st, 2009, young Anna discovers her mother dead in the bathtub.
Anna doesn't know what to do, so she calls her dad next door. He immediately calls 911.
Having taken Shelley out of the bathtub and attempting to resuscitate her on the bathroom floor while wrapping her in a quilt, police arrive and discover Rod's attempt at saving his wife is unsuccessful.
And the police responded. The police, upon arriving, based on what they observed, their conversations with Rod and his daughter, everything in looking at the scene of where Shelley was found, it was deemed accidental. And they viewed it as an accidental slipping in the bathtub.
This is a tragic accident that has taken a loving mother and caring ex-wife far too soon.
The scene in the bathroom and the evidence collected indicates that this was an unfortunate accident.
Or, as police will soon begin to wonder, is this a tragic accident at all? On December 30th, 2009, Mom Shelley Colvin is the last thing young Anna Colvin sees before she's tucked in for the night. The next morning, Anna is horrified to see her mother again, this time dead in the bathtub. Anna calls her dad, Shelley's ex, for help. Shelley's estranged husband calls 911, and police arrive to a terrible, tragic scene.
It was a bathtub that didn't have a mat in it, which is typically what you would see to minimize the chance of slipping. The bathtub had problems with its draining. That was confirmed by the evidence.
Police take note that the bathtub remains filled with water. Rod Colvin says he removed Shelley's body from the tub, so spillage around the tub is consistent. And the water is slightly red from blood, presumably from her slipping.
Detectives move cautiously around the wet floor, careful not to slip or disturb the scene. And they don't immediately notice anything out of the ordinary. This looks to be a tragic accident and nothing more. But at second glance, there's some odd discrepancies.
On Shelley's body, police noticed bruising on Shelley's lips and scratches and bruises on her right hand. There's also some spotting of red in one of her eyes.
The bathroom's cabinet door catches the eye of the detective.
There was a wooden cabinet where one of the doors of the cabinet was opened and clearly had been grabbed and pulled down. It was partially off its moorings, which the police viewed as consistent with somebody having grabbed a hold of it and then fallen, and with the pressure dislodged the cabinet door.
As police work the scene, they realize Shelley's routine for the morning is still lined up as usual. This includes the arrival of the hired nanny.
Rose Reed had a good relationship with her employer, so the shock of Shelley's death hit with a ton of bricks. The woman she respected was well and vibrant just yesterday, but today, she's gone forever.
Nancy Hyacinth Rose Reed can't believe the news. She spills her coffee and collapses in shock.
While officers tend to a devastated Rose, detectives talk with Shelley's ex-husband, Rod Colvin, to get a fuller picture of what happened.
Rod Colvin explains that when his daughter called in a panic, he rushes to the suite and finds his ex-wife in the tub.
Rod Colvin's shock has subsided, yet he's still obviously distraught from the devastating events that have left him as a single parent.
Rod says he pulls Shelley from the bathtub, and she's cold. He covers her with a comforter and begins performing CPR.
But it's all to no avail. Shelley Danishevsky is dead.
Rod Colvin is completely broken. He gets a terrifying call from his daughter. He finds his ex-wife dead. He attempts unsuccessfully to revive her.
For the police, it's a sad and tragic case, but it's pretty open and shut.
When they came in and saw the body and spoke to him, it yelled out that the police never thought it was a crime.
Shelley's grief-stricken family now has the responsibility to fulfill the requirements of a beloved member's funeral rites under formal Jewish burial law.
The Jewish community feels a deep responsibility to expedite the deceased's journey.
It's Jewish practice to bury the deceased as quickly as possible to provide comfort for their soul and expedite the person's journey to the next world.
But it's another Jewish burial rite that has serious implications in regards to the death of Shelley Danishevsky.
Beyond simply the disfigurement of the body being disallowed, since it disgraces what's considered a gift, the body needs to be buried in its entirety, according to Scripture.
It prescribes the inflicting of any form of disgrace upon the body, which is considered a gift. This includes the disfigurement of the body even as a result of post-mortem dissection, also referred to as an autopsy. But the Jewish law does not have an absolute prohibition against it.
So, before Shelley's body is even transported to the office of the chief medical examiner, an autopsy waiver form is signed by her bereaved older brother.
Shelley Danishevsky's body arrives at the medical examiner's office with the signed objection to autopsy, Jewish including toxicology.
But immediately, the medical examiner notices marks on Shelley that are not consistent with the story he's been told about her death. With bruising, scratches, and blood in the eye, there could be more to this than a simple fatal fall.
The medical examiner has reservations about recording Shelley's death as an accident and decides to hold off.
The ME places a call to Shelley Colvin's family.
Joel Danishevsky becomes suspicious about the circumstances of his daughter Shelley's death after hearing from the medical examiner.
It's one thing for Joel Danishevsky to have to deal with the loss of his child, but to be informed of irregularities in the manner of death forces him to question everything he's been told.
But on the same day, the Danishevskys receive another phone call from their highly respected rabbi.
The rabbi insists the family accept Shelley's death as the unfortunate accident it is and continues with funeral traditions.
And with the family following the Orthodox beliefs, they heed their rabbi's suggestion.
So, as instructed, Shelley Colvin is buried on January 3rd, 2010.
The answers to any of the family's and investigators' nagging questions now lie in the depths of Shelley Colvin's grave. After a distressing summons from his 9-year-old daughter on December 31st, 2009, Rod Colvin rushes to find his ex-wife, Shelley Danishevsky, unresponsive in the bath.
Rod Colvin advises first responders that he performed CPR and tried everything to revive her, but he was too late. He couldn't save her.
Although suspicions are raised by the medical examiner about the nature of Shelley's death, the Orthodox Jewish family is advised by its rabbi to follow tradition and avoid an autopsy.
Shelley Danishevsky, a loving, dedicated mother and powerhouse financier, is laid to rest just 3 days into the new year of 2010.
Still, suspicions haunt Joel Danishevsky around the circumstances of the death of his beloved daughter, Shelley.
The police have closed this case, death by accident, slipped in the bathtub. But if more evidence is found, then the file can be reopened.
Mark Karstad is married to Shelley's sister Eve and is held in great esteem by the family. For this reason, Shelley's father Joel turns to Mark to find out what really happened to Shelley.
Mark knows there needs to be an autopsy, but Shelley's already been buried. The NYPD requires more probable cause in order to move forward with this unusual request.
But Mark's drive and determination will not stop until they have the attention of the NYPD and others involved in the case.
Mark and a private investigator return to Shelley's apartment in search of further evidence. Notably, they're looking for Shelley's missing iPhone, but they come up empty-handed.
Mark Karstad also starts a tireless letter-writing campaign through his lawyer to both the NYPD and the DA's office.
On January 25, 2010, after months of pressure, the district attorney's office agrees to examine Shelley Danishevsky's death more closely.
This means Shelley's body will be disturbed from its eternal resting place and exhumed. Some in the Jewish community are shocked at the decision, but the unanswered questions surrounding Shelley's sudden and tragic passing need answers.
The body is exhumed, and to exhume the body, they use backhoes and all sorts of machinery, and then they bring the body down to the morgue for further testing.
By March 1st, 2010, the medical examiner begins an autopsy on the body of Shelley Danishevsky.
And the key finding was the hyoid bone, which is in the neck, this area of the neck.
A U-shaped structure located in the anterior neck, the hyoid bone lies at the base of the mandible, where it acts as a site of attachment for the anterior neck muscles. Incredibly important for the body, but also easily breakable when placed under pressure.
They found that it was fractured, and the testimony is a hyoid bone typically is fractured by compression. It could be compression by a hard object going against and the hard object coming in contact with your throat. It can be fractured by compression by a hand, strangulation. Even though it did come out, there are other ways it can be fractured, but they're not as frequently seen as manual strangulation.
Shelley Danishevsky has clearly been strangled. The asphyxiation compresses with such force that it fractures the hyoid bone in Shelley's neck, and it causes bleeding in her right eye.
An already distraught family is anguished by the medical examiner's results. How could any of this have been missed during the initial investigation?
And the bigger question, who could have done such a thing to this kind and caring woman?
On December 31st, 2009, the morning Shelley Colvin's body is discovered in her Manhattan bathtub, a crime scene detective takes pictures of the scene.
A detective's other regular responsibilities in a situation like this are to dust for fingerprints, gather DNA samples, and secure items.
But the attending officers are so confident this is an accident that none of them bother to gather any evidence. None. Not even fingerprints.
And other than Rod Colvin, no one else in the building is interviewed, which proves that murder wasn't even a thought in their head.
If a death is an accident or a murder, the scene should always be treated the same. It's a shocking revelation when it's confirmed the initial officers at the scene did very little to investigate Shelley's death.
I've never witnessed a more pathetic, botched, sloppy investigation of any crime, any potential crime, than what we saw in this case.
The consensus seems to be that even though scratches and bruises are noted on Shelley Colvin's body, the medical examiner will clarify any suspicions when it is autopsied.
But Orthodox Jewish practice has disallowed an autopsy. The assumption by police that one would take place is a critical error.
Also, according to an Orthodox Jewish burial law, a rabbi cleans up the death space.
A rabbi trained in this type of cleaning procedure is responsible for removing blood and any items to be buried with the deceased.
They allowed him to enter the apartment without an escort, no police officers observing what he did.
The crime scene is wiped bare.
All evidence, including possible fingerprints and DNA left behind from the killer, is now gone.
He grabbed hold of anything that could remotely have had fibers, hair, blood on it. all with the okay and approval of the police.
Without any crime scene evidence, the police revisiting the death of Shelley Colvin must now rely solely on the medical examiner's report,
which states definitively that Shelley Danishevsky had been strangled to death.
Police begin eliminating suspects, including the Danishevsky family, Shelley's friends, and the nanny, Rose.
It's customary in a murder investigation to interview and eliminate those closest to the victim first, as the killer is often someone the victim knew.
In determining a suspect, police need to consider access. This is a pretty swanky building on the Upper West Side of Manhattan with very tight security, including a doorman. Access to any of the apartments isn't easy.
Although Rod Colvin has suffered a horrible tragedy in finding his ex-wife in the tub and trying desperately to save her, police can't help but look at this grieving father who has a key to the building and Shelley's apartment in a new light.
Police now wonder, who is Rod Colvin?
Although Rod has worked as a stockbroker after earning an MBA, he is soon unemployed. He's on the computer looking for work, a lot.
Even though he doesn't have a job, Rod demands a lot of Shelley and the kids. Mostly he demands quiet when he's online and flies off the handle if he doesn't get it.
Rod Colvin hides the other side of his personality from the public, as his charm always seems to get him what he wants.
Privately, however, Rod's known for having a quick temper.
Police search files and history on Rod's computer and discover Rod hasn't been looking for new work at all.
In fact, Rod's only real employment has been gambling on backgammon and curating a secret lifestyle filled with sexual encounters.
Gambling and sex. That's definitely not what Shelley signed up for when she fell head over heels and married him.
Rod seeks out multiple escorts, preferring Brazilian and Polish women.
The escorts he keeps a secret, but once revealed, investigators begin to look at Rod much more intensely as his hidden lifestyle begins to unravel itself in front of their eyes. And what they do find odd and interesting is that the backgammon he plays is like a badge of honor to him.
Rod is not only playing online, but flying around the country to attend in-person backgammon tournaments.
Unlike chess and checkers, where the smartest players typically win, backgammon adds luck into the equation, which along with experience and strategy levels the playing field. So it's a game that hits on his gambling addiction.
Rod demands almost complete solitude so he can work at making a career of professional backgammon.
Remember, this is all financed by Shelley, but she wants to keep her family together, so she goes along with it, and he's still a father to their kids.
What was once a loving marriage is now more like a business transaction to keep up the facade of a happy family. But soon Rod drifts away more, often staying up all night to feed his addiction to gambling and online prowling. And with this routine in full swing, he doesn't see the dark path he's going down and how it will affect everything in his life.
Each night after the kids and Shelley go to bed, Rod begins his day. He starts using amphetamines and marijuana to stay on his game.
This is hard on Shelley. On one hand, she's fed up with all of it. But on the other, he's a great dad and really cares about their children.
In the morning, usually around 5 or 6 a.m., Rod goes to sleep with a little help from a bedside friend.
Soon, Shelley's sister and brother-in-law Mark begin to see the cracks in Shelley's marriage.
Her family were never overly excited about Rod being in Shelley's life, but for a long period, they had no choice.
Shelley sought some solace in her sister Eve, who said Rod just seemed plain caustic and mean now.
There were allegations of domestic disputes.
One night, Shelley sees a lurid email Rod has written to someone he's met at a backgammon tournament. She's floored. With their 10th anniversary approaching, Shelley decides to spring the discovery on Rod over dinner.
At what should have been a romantic evening to celebrate a 10th anniversary, turns instead into a defining moment that ends a marriage.
Shelley tells Rod what she saw, and his response is, well, unbelievable. He thinks they should remain married, but see other people. Happy anniversary.
That doesn't fly with Shelley, and the two separate. Rod, unemployed and sporadically working, moves into the suite across the hall.
Rod, living so close to Shelley, does not make life better for the couple. Rod hadn't been living in the new place that long when Shelley's work receives both an email and a call from Rod. Rod claims Shelley has a drug problem that might affect her work, just as it has the family's home life.
This guy is the one addicted, and to much more than just pills. And he's trying to get Shelley fired? It's just bizarre.
Shelley co-signed the lease on Rod's apartment, and she's paying the majority of the children's living expenses, yet he's sabotaging her career. It makes no sense.
Rod continues his strange double life, and it's becoming harder and harder to comprehend. He's a doting, cooperative co-parent, while gambling, paying escorts, and trying to prove Shelley is unfit to work or be a mother.
And with all these added elements, it's easy to understand why she didn't want to be in Rod's orbit.
The two sides of Rod Colvin do not add up, and the police are desperate to solve this puzzle. They need to know who the real Rod Colvin might be and what he truly wants. As investigators continue to dig into Rod Colvin's life, they are blindsided by another shocking revelation. This time by the couple's young son, Miles.
Miles Colvin claims to have been inappropriately touched by his mother, Shelley.
Shelley Colvin is found dead by her daughter and ex-husband on December 31st, 2009. And it's discovered she's been strangled.
With no sign of forced entry, investigators dig into Shelley's relationships to find a suspect.
Due to their ongoing tumultuous divorce, police look hard at Shelley's ex, Rod Colvin. What they uncover is truly shocking.
Rod is known for being quick-tempered. He's authoritative and demands a lot of both Shelley and their children.
He's obsessed with backgammon gambling and endlessly cheats on Shelley, sometimes with escorts.
He has no job, so the cash he's spending on all of his hobbies is earned by Shelley. He has no money of his own. It makes even less sense when Rod tries to frame Shelley as a drug abuser and get her fired from her job.
But the one thing Rod and Shelley can agree on, they both love the kids, and together they'll do what's best for them.
Shelley bites her tongue, accepts Rod in her world, and continues pressing on as she usually does. It's almost as if she's used to it. But in reality, she's just making do of a bad situation.
One day, Shelley Colvin arrives home and her children and ex-husband are not there. The custody arrangement for childcare is strict and it's very much out of the ordinary. Rod should be there, but hours pass by without a word.
As Shelley panics over her missing children, she gets a chilling phone call.
It's a social worker at a nearby hospital who reveals Shelley's 3-year-old son, Miles, is accusing her of inappropriate behavior. The allegation has come through Miles' dad, Rod Colvin.
This accusation is off the charts, categorically false. Rod is torturing Shelley in the worst imaginable way, and it seems like there's no limit to how low he will go.
It's not only an outlandish lie, but it's wearing away at Shelley. She can't take any more of his erratic and hurtful behavior.
Shelley realizes she needs to take drastic action if she's going to protect herself and her family from this man. In late summer 2009, Shelley demands a meeting with a judge regarding visitation of the children.
The court debunks Rod's allegations of Shelley sexually molesting their son, and the judge is less than impressed by Rod's attempted smear. Rod can no longer spend any time with the children without direct supervision. He is prohibited from contacting them in any manner, email, text, or otherwise.
What's more, Rod is desperate financially. He's lost his job, and due to his intense backgammon gambling, he's being crushed under a mountain of debt.
Shelley has fought back and cut Rod off at the knees. No more trust, no more money, no more kids. It's a huge blow. And Rod realizes he's in a bind without the financial aid from Shelley and the love and warmth of his children around him.
For once, Shelley feels as though she's in control of the situation, and that she can finally get some agency back in her life. But unfortunately, that's wishful thinking.
In December 2009, Rod sends an email to a friend saying he feels like an animal caught in one of those steel traps. He says he's ready to gnaw his paw off to escape.
Rod Colvin rarely sees his children now and has every door closed to his scheming to try and secure Shelley's money. A few weeks later, Shelley Danishevsky is found dead in her bathtub.
Strangled to death by her killer.
There are so many fingers pointing in the direction of Rod Colvin as being responsible for the December 2009 death of his ex-wife, Shelley Danishevsky, but nothing to officially nail him to the wall.
Without a definitive piece of evidence, police are not close to closing the book on Shelley's death. Investigators have been trying to solve the case for years. But as the leads point to Rod being the mastermind that killed Shelley, they still need to figure out how they can prove it. They pore over evidence again, and this time, while revisiting ex-husband Rod Colvin's computer, they find a shocking message of guilt.
But it's not Rod's guilt.
It's a message synced with Anna's email account. The message, supposedly written by now a 12-year-old Anna, confesses to her mother's murder.
The message says, "I lied. She didn't just slip. That day we got into a fight about her dating. I got mad, so I pushed her. But it couldn't have been that hard. I didn't mean to hurt her, I swear."
It's a phony confession, written by a toxic father desperate to evade justice.
How sick have you got to be that you try to frame your own daughter?
He has his own daughter, Anna, in an email, confessed to the murder of her mother. She was only 9 at the time of Shelley's death.
Police are fed up with this guy, and they can't wait any longer.
On November 1st, 2015, 6 years after Shelley Danishevsky was found dead in the bathroom, her ex-husband, Roderick Colvin, is arrested for murder.
But there's still no physical evidence to directly connect Rod to Shelley's death. Relying on only circumstantial evidence is a very risky game with juries. The prosecutors are worried.
After all this time, will it all be enough to keep Rod Colvin behind bars? The trial begins in January 2019. The high-profile courtroom drama lasts 8 weeks in the Supreme Court of Manhattan, with the entire Danishevsky family often present in court.
Prosecutor Matthew Bogdanos argues that Rod Colvin would stop at nothing to inherit his wife's wealth. Rod Colvin's primary motive for murdering his wife is described as pure, unadulterated greed.
In court, it's revealed that Shelley Danishevsky had made an appointment with her lawyer to change her will and cut her ex-husband, Rod, out. The appointment was to take place on January 1st, 2010. Shelley's body was discovered December 31st, 2009, 1 day before she could make it to the appointment.
Rod stood to inherit millions in the event of Shelley's death, but only if he's still in the will.
Prosecution continues to present the jury with circumstantial evidence.
The jury learns of Rod's many girlfriends and affairs. One such woman he becomes serious with is his backgammon lover, Deborah Oles.
Deborah Oles not only corroborates what investigators already know about Rod Colvin's explosive anger, but she reveals so much more.
Deborah testifies Rod was so upset with his parents for trying to get custody of his children that he planned to kill them.
He said, "This is exactly what Shelley was trying to do to me."
Deborah tells the jury Rod had even researched poisons and considered ambushing his mother, Carol, to attack her and fatally karate chop her.
Deborah comes off credible to the courtroom, and her testimony is extremely beneficial to the prosecution.
It became very clear from the beginning of the trial until the end that the district attorney did not have the proof of what in fact happened to Shelley. What happened here is because of court rulings allowing the jury to hear all these other prior bad acts, alleged bad acts. Hearing all sorts of evidence which painted him just as somebody who's incredibly unsympathetic.
So, even though the crime scene has been wiped clean, basically leaving no evidence, the jury still heard compelling circumstantial evidence.
Eve, Shelley's sister, and Rose, Shelley's nanny, both make heart-wrenching testimonies.
On top of this emotional and overwhelming evidence, the jury also hears the undeniable truth that Shelley Colvin was strangled to death. The injury to her neck bone was consistent with a chokehold, one might practice in martial arts.
It became much easier for the jury to convict him, not because there was evidence that he actually killed Shelley, but because he is just one unlikable guy.
On March 19, 2019, just over 9 years after the murder of Shelley Colvin, the jury returns to a tense courtroom to deliver their verdict. Roderick Colvin is found guilty of second-degree murder. The Danishevsky family hug and cry. It's been an incredibly long road, and finally, both they and their sweet Shelley can rest. Roderick Colvin is sentenced to 25 years to life in prison for the murder of his wife, Shelley Danishevsky Colvin.
Sentencing for a former Manhattan stockbroker convicted of killing his estranged wife. Last month, the jury found Rod Colvin guilty of murder. Prosecutors say he strangled his wife, Shelley, before she could cut him out of her will. Her body was found in a bathtub of her West 68th Street apartment on New Year's Eve in 2009. Colvin faces up to life in prison.
So today, Rod is in prison, but I continue to strongly believe that the actual evidence of guilt beyond a reasonable doubt never appeared in that courtroom.
Roderick Colvin appeals this decision in May 2022, claiming his innocence, but his appeal is rejected. Shelley Danishevsky Colvin was a loving, devoted mother and a generous and caring spirit.
With the horrors of their childhood behind them, the kids can start to rebuild their lives, knowing their mom's killer has been brought to justice. And that same person, their father, is being held accountable for his crime, locked up behind bars.